Today we're speaking with Mr. Jason Berkowitz. You can find him on LinkedIn, Jason Berkowitz SEO. Website and agency is breaktheweb.agency. Specializes in SEO, geo, and calling out bullshit. I like people like this that can stir the pot and basically have a hard opinion on things. They're fun to talk to. And very refreshing to hear from someone that can go, all right, yeah, that's bullshit. So for that reason, very informational, fun to talk to. And again, a lot of insight if you're going, all right, cool. How do we get more traffic? How don't we get more traffic? How do we spot a good or a bad vendor? What is that AI to SEO to GEO that I keep seeing online? All of the above is covered in this episode. So give it a listen. If you want to come and find us, we're on burnthemappodcast.com. That's our social handle pretty much everywhere. Go look us up, subscribe to the newsletter if you want to get first access to each of the shows and additional content, and then like, follow, subscribe. Cheers. Jason Berkowitz. I'm excited to chat with you. One, we find out that we basically live pretty close to one another. And two, a man of my own heart. My team was going, hey, we're getting a lot of questions about how do you adapt? And we build and work on a lot of messaging platforms. And one of the main things that's coming up is like, build me entire personalized landing pages. And how do I revise this? Or how do I post this so that I'm better to be found and easier found in LLM results? And actually, maybe you. I'm a Luddite on this one. I dipped my toe in the water and I went, I smell bullshit. And immediately said, guys, go see if you can find someone who really understands this stuff. I want to get their take on it. And they went, hey, talk to Jason. So setting the stage. Yeah. We had a bunch of people asking about how to optimize for LLMs, scraping usage, showing up in LLM search results, basically the equivalent of SEO. And one more just caveat, a big client of ours, people that just many thousands of users on their site every day, saw their traffic, organic, fall off an absolute cliff starting at about 2 years ago. Found out that they were being scraped. I think I want to say it was either 15 or 50,000 times per day by bots. Oh. And basically said, okay, our traffic's down and we're paying for a bunch of bandwidth that's clearly not even humans. And we have to rethink SEO. Is that, so maybe that not those volume or numbers, but I presume from my research, that's the common experience in the space, right? Organic traffic is dropping. Like, am I correct to go like, yeah, it's a new day and age. It's not SEO anymore, or is it? But ground me, correct me.
I mean, it's totally still SEO. I think what has yet to come up from all these different changes coming out is new baselines. So okay. Google introducing AI overviews has significantly reduced clicks, especially to informational topics. What is how to topics that may not necessarily people are looking to convert or make a transaction or become a lead in a system, but are just trying to get an answer to a question. But that has also drove significantly less traffic historically, and that's constantly changing. So we don't have new baseline measurements that we can use for traffic projections and forecasts, which makes things really hard. And then on top of that, there's a lot of bots going on. We had to do the exact same thing on our own site. We were getting crawled by a lot of random bots that didn't really matter. So something's going on, whether it's AI building crawling bots, people, bad actors. There's definitely something going on here. Search is all weird. Websites are all weird right now. But yes, SEO is still very much working, but we don't know what it's going to look like just yet.
So, I mean, it's almost what I've heard too. You're going to get perfectly, Google just filed a patent. Well, they just got the patent for real-time personalized landing pages, right? So they detect your web traffic, and then in real time, they look at the existing landing page. They redo it based on the insights from your browser behavior and your browsing, what pages you visited, stuff like that. They build a new one on the fly, and they basically patented, hey, we'll show that to them. And I went, wow, that's really clever, scary. And simultaneously, I don't know if that's even going to work, just because a ton of the time now, like that chat interface with my agent is largely where I spend most of my time. I don't even actually look at I look at the browser, not nearly what I used to. A ton of that is just, you go look, bring the information back to me, and only show me what I asked for. So to some extent, I was going, hey, that's really good of them. Obviously, you should patent that. And simultaneously, I don't know if that's where the future is. Like, it's potentially looks like a text thread. What do you think?
I think they file a lot of patents. Now we will never know what gets introduced into their search algorithms, what gets introduced as search features. But I think they're always trying to cover all different bases, especially in this new AI landscape. But I think there's just a lot of problems, especially because they're already dealing with problematics of stealing people's content, intellectual property, and
Sure.
ideas, all AI agents. What is that personal landing page going to look like? And then to echo what you just said, if the experience is in chat, going away from chat, what is that new experience like? Chat GPT informally announced that they're removing the instant checkout feature for e-commerce brands,
Hmm.
where what they were seeing during their test rollouts were nobody was entering their credit card information in chat GPT. So there hasn't fully been consumer adoption yet. Everything is just so up in the air. I think we as tech nerds definitely browse differently than the average, probably mainstream consumer because
Hmm.
we're aware of the technology. But I think that's the big one is mainstream adoption. What does that look like and how are people using it? People know SEO, whether they know of SEO or not. They know how to Google. They know how to use
Sure.
search engines with keywords. What does that look like with ChatGPT, especially if there's hallucinations that are also risking user trust?
That's a big deal. That trust factor is a really big one. And they're trying stuff. I don't know, like what yours is of the day, like a big one of kind of the pillars of our company strategy, if you will, is every vendor will go away. Meaning you're going to switch and you need to be able to switch with zero switching costs on a dime. So again, like we had one with like ChatGPT and OpenAI a while ago, did and supported a lot of our image generation. And then Nano Banana came out. And we're like, oh, hell no. Yeah, switch, go. Um, to and
Totally.
from and understanding like Claude's reasoning versus ChatGPT's. There's different models that tend to like better perform at specific tasks. And I mean, the weird thing is like it's changing so fast and simultaneously. I don't know that anybody's like safe. Like, again, they have to further accelerate their model launch every 2 months, 1 month, pretty soon weeks.
Yeah.
And
Who do
as
you
soon
think is
as
going
they,
to win?
right now, Anthropic. Um, but again, all remember MySpace? MySpace disappeared in a minute. They went from the biggest thing on the planet to nothing immediately. And I think when you're in software and tech, the nature of the business model is that race to the bottom. People are like, we have really huge margins. And I go ahead and pause your innovation and watch how irrelevant you become and how fast. Like it's an investment in your future. So you get really big margins. And if you don't throw most of that capital into further development, you disappear really, really, really quickly. And I think this is like exacerbating the situation. They have DeepSeek and stuff like that. That's basically just reverse engineering their models to be more efficient and stuff like that. And I go, cool, like they're a month behind you guys. So like as soon as you guys hit the pause button, you're irrelevant. You can't stop, which is why I think they have to just continually raise capital. So at the moment, Anthropic, I think they did the smart thing on like with Trump and basically saying no on that. I think that was actually one of the smarter marketing moves they could have made. And for those listening, they basically had the opportunity to lose, how much was it, $200 billion contract or something
Yeah.
about that size to the U.S. military because of basically they said we won't do surveillance on Americans and we won't do fully autonomous AI and warfare, both of which are good ideas. Yeah, both of good ideas in the sense of don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, these premises are well established. OpenAI jumped up and the shift in their market share accordingly was I don't know it off the top of my head, but OpenAI's cancellations were 300% increase in cancellations. And I think Anthropic gained, there was a lot. It was like 15 billion in market share, like immediately. So it must have been 200 million and then 15 billion in market share. But they
Yeah.
dramatically paid for the opportunity just by going, no, we're not going to do that and not do that publicly. Because not only did they drive their own capitalization and user base, they actually cut their competitors simultaneously, which is like double whammy of good on you.
Totally. I have an additional question, I guess,
Huh.
because 98% of users on ChatGPT are free, so they're not making money from those people. Ad rollouts are still kind of in beta. They're not making money. So the question is, does
Not even close.
OpenAI care about market share, or now do they care about reducing the amount of debt that they owe,
Ooh,
which is insane.
they have to. Market share is the metric that if you have, you can do anything else. It's like if you're looking for a single, like Amazon is the example. You don't have to be profitable if you have market share, because largely, like, the whole move for most of monopolization from like the 20s and 30s, like, they actually instilled the requirement for grocery stores to have a certain percentage of profitability, because they knew they were so big that they could basically lower their prices temporarily, drive everybody else out of business, and then raise their prices as high as they wanted, right? So if there's a metric among all metrics that I would care about, market share, just because, again, I can figure everything else out with it. But that being said, the amount of cash that they're burning in the process means that you have to shift that fundraising to your balance sheet, right? You have to monetize your balance sheet like Amazon did, right? Which, again, if you go look at it, I mean, I don't know. I can't say that I'm the financier, but I do say a lot of people that seem to know look at ChatGPT and go, I don't think they know what to do next other than give away stuff. I've heard people say that, like, Anthropic, they have like their pro accounts right now, $100 a month. And I've heard people say, like, hey, the Claude Pro account actually cost them something like $5,000 per month. And the way that they're managing that is essentially because the multiplier on the valuation of their company, so they get $100 per month. The valuation multiplier on that $100 a month at $1,000 a year is like 20. So every one of those subscriptions is worth 20,000-ish in market cap to them. So they can afford to basically go, okay, cool, we can burn 10 because we'll go get new fundraising and we'll support it. And then we can raise our prices later. I'm going, So market share is my answer for that reason. But I digress. I want to ask you more about geo stuff, because the other thing, you got me digressing. But the main thing, when people were coming back, I was looking at people that were selling the service, what to do. And again, these big players have a lot of things that make it really sexy for them. Google, Anthropic, all of that. Black box models. You oftentimes don't know how the decisions are made on what to include and what not to include. So it makes it really difficult to reverse engineer, especially when they add personalization in. Like, one of those things where people are going, oh yeah, we'll test your rankings between platforms. And I went, with the same API on the same account that's being personalized to your answers? Because can you trust it? That's not objective at that point, correct? Am I missing that one? Because I was going, yeah, well, if they know your pattern, which they're definitely monitoring your pattern and API consumption, and if you're monitoring the same questions over and over and over, they are tailoring their answers to you. I don't know if they do that on the API side as much, right? The enterprise plans. But I'm going, I don't think you should trust that. I know for a fact, if you and I go Google the same phrase, or Google, but if we go throw it into two different platforms, we're going to get two different answers. It's not objective like it used to be by design. Is that fair?
Yeah, to a degree. We built, I vibe coded an AI platform tracking, brand tracker, and it uses the APIs. And I'm pretty proud of it. It's cool. What comes from it, though, is, like, at the end of the day, just data collection that may or may not be relevant.
Sure.
We're using APIs, and you can request non-cached results.
Okay.
For many. I forgot which one specifically. I know with OpenAI, you could make non-cached results. And definitely OpenAI. I forgot offhand which ones. But the thing is, does the API responses give the same or near similar responses as the chat conversation experience? The way we're seeing this, and how I'm explaining this to clients, and we're not even charging clients for this, it's kind of just a value add on, is we're just trying to get topical alignment. So if we're making a few, maybe 24 queries and prompts per day to ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and Perplexity, how often do you appear topically? Not that you're going to always appear, because everyone prompts differently. If prompts are conversational, everyone converses differently. So we're just checking if there's alignment between a specific topic or idea and our client and the brand. And the hope is, like Google search algorithms can do, is the LLMs will create that correlation. I think they're still lagging behind and they're still working on previous data sets, or they're using real-time search, which is back to search engines anyways, to make these correlations. But there really isn't much you can do. And yeah, the personalization aspect, the biases, the auto models, like we switched our model to ChatGPT 5 mini to let it auto suggest which model it would use internally, even with the API, just like the regular ChatGPT does. And let's say it decides that it wants to use a model that's outdated or slow. Sometimes there is, like, it chooses to use a reasoning model or a fast model or a web search model. And sometimes they suck also in just choosing those.
When they use those models, because oftentimes, like, again, I'm exposing my lack of technical acumen on this one, but they train those models, and sometimes, at least years ago, it oftentimes took years to get them to market. So at least for a while there too, I was going, wait a minute, like, you're looking at largely the websites that they tracked 2 years ago, not the stuff that's big or relevant right now. And I think one of the reasons that the like OpenAI bought Reddit was, again, so that they could kind of like update, if you will, and watch a little bit more closely. Like, all right, what are the innovators, if you will, in those given spaces doing? If I go watch the subreddits, like, for anyone who isn't on Reddit right now, even if you hate it, you should not hate it. Like, if you want to go find interesting in what the experts are saying, I don't know of another platform that does it as well as Reddit.
I love Reddit too. It's half awesome and half extremely toxic.
Yeah. Totally agree.
Well, question on that though: if there's a lot of troll subreddits, a lot of irony there, can LLMs understand what's sarcasm or what's trolling, unless you're part of that Reddit community? And if they're using that information as sources of accurate data or citations, what's the potential outcome of that?
I don't know how good it is now. I mean, because we had one client that had us build a product recommender. It was like we were using voice of customer data, like product reviews. And so this is a while ago, like 2-3 years, maybe 4 years ago. And I remember we went through and looked at the data just to go like, what's the issue and the challenge? And we did a bunch of like semantic analysis. So basically you take the reviews, you correlate them with the stars. You know, our idea was to kind of make a decision tree that would have good features on the right that like influenced the product experience positively. And the higher up the tree they were, the more they had positive reviews only. And I remember looking at just like all of the libraries, and they all came back with like 15% positive, 15% negative, and then everything else in the middle was just mixed. And almost everything was mixed, right? There was just so little where it could say like everything was mixed. You're like, well, that's kind of how it is. So I do remember last time I looked, they were a lot dumber than that. I do know that we do a lot of like emotional sentiment analysis where I'm going, hey, you know, based on what they say, is there happiness, conviction, or whatever in there? And can they kind of detect it? And it does. Like, I can tell you, like, there's weird positive correlations between employers that have happiness programmed into their DNA and whether or not their conversions perform well. But that being said, the best trolling is the most subtle, right? it's the most clever. So I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. You usually don't see that /s at the end of the Reddit thread that makes it obvious, but we shall see. From the SEO side, going back to that really quickly, when you talk about like alignment, like one of the things intuitively, I was just going, you know what we should do? I'm thinking about my own company because, again, like we hear regularly like, hey, what you guys do looks cool and simultaneously is confusing as hell. And I go, yeah, well, yeah. And a big part of it I was doing is like, how do you make that clearer? And so again, we went into kind of like vector analysis and embeddings going, let's stop doing the cutesy brand stuff. We don't have to name a product serendipity, even though the idea behind serendipity, meaning like luck, was we had a product that would recognize a lot of the nuances in someone's personality and interests so that you could put like your salesperson that had the most in common with that prospect on the phone at the same time. We found out it was more influential than training on success. So like 2 people from Utah can hit it off really easily. And that's actually something that you can't necessarily train in to someone. So we actually found out that like the best salespeople were actually the best at finding pretty close to mirror images of their own personalities, backgrounds, and everything else. So we just went, well, what if we just measure that and pair those people up automatically instead of doing a round robin, assigning prospects to each person? Let's just put people with people that they already would kind of hit it off with. And so we kind of looked at our own stuff and did that type of analysis. All right, let's get rid of the cutesy brand names. Let's call stuff what it is. Let's use short, small, easier to understand words from the Winston Churchill, like short words are best, when old are best of all type of thing. What else should people do? Am I on the right track in terms of like, what's the best way to kind of make yourself more visible and obvious and interesting to that audience?
Yeah, I think simplicity has its purpose, but again, tailoring the verbiage to your audience is key. I mean, you can tailor to AI, which is dumber than search engine algorithm and crawlers. But again, at the end of the day, even if you get visibility and you get eyes, but you're not resonating, you're not converting, is it all worth it anyways? So users first, speak to their language and hope that AI can pick it back up. Again, they're very simple right now. But Google, on the other hand, has natural language processing built in. And the carryover into Gemini, I think there probably is a large carryover. We don't know for certain. But creating content and speaking to your audience is always going to be key, because also there's other marketing channels. There's paid, email, social, and that will definitely take precedence over anything else.
Is it worth creating the separate kind of in SEO, you have the equivalent of kind of the sitemap, right? Here's where my pages are and what they contain. I've heard people say like, hey, you need to make a version of that that's specifically just for SEO, AEO, GEO. Again, all of the different versions, bot specific, do it in markdown files and do all that type of stuff to make it easier for them to navigate and interpret what you're doing. Is that a wise place to kind of invest time and money?
If you're going to invest time and money, probably not. There's no proof that any of that works. LLMs.txt files. Yeah. And I think sometimes crawlers will crawl those and look for LLMs.txt just as a troll. Google's even confirmed that no one's really using them, and they've looked at a bunch of server logs. No one's checking them out. Again, it doesn't hurt, but if you had to be conscious of your time and effort, is it something that's going to help? There's yet to be a single case study that accurately shows that we did this and this happened. And that's besides just regular markdown and any other types of weird text. I mean, take a step back. There's not a single case study to show that if I do this, this, and this, it's going to give me exactly this result in ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. That's the world we're living in right now. Speaking of charlatans. Yeah.
What are you trying right now? If you're doing it, what's the tech or the version or the methodology that you're kind of obsessing over that's going, all right, this is cool. This is worth investing time and money in.
Yeah, I mean, there's no framework of success, but there are some weird correlations that we tend to see tracking data over time. Like our AI platform tracking that we're doing right now with API calls with ChatGPT, you can see the sources of information. They let you know the citations. So we're collecting lists of sources of information that is frequently cited by ChatGPT. As part of our SEO service, we're also doing digital PR, link building, connecting with publishers. And what we're also tracking is a lot of the content that we're helping produce with publications with our link building efforts are coming up as sources of information. So if we're creating a listicle in collaboration with a publisher of the best XYZ for ABC, and that's commonly cited as a source of information for ChatGPT, and if ChatGPT is giving a listicle, there's a high probability that our client will appear in that listicle. So that's the data we're collecting. Again, it's not a proven framework, because one day we get a lot of great mentions and citations, then the next day we don't. So there's no rhyme or reason really with that.
What is your concern when we talk about one other thing my team pointed out, they're ask him about automating the mundane SEO without sacrificing human critical thinking.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the practitioner or in practice?
There's a bunch of graphics out there on the interwebs about what the future marketing team will look like. Yeah. And it has critical thinker, critical thinker, critical thinker, critical thinker. And right below each one is AI agents. Now, there are tasks that, and I'm sure we've all experienced this, things that would take us hours to do, which now take 5-10 minutes, which is awesome. And those are things that don't necessarily require human intervention. They don't require critical thinking skills. But people are making decisions or letting AI make decisions that should require human intervention, and things were blown up. It's just a clusterfuck and a mess everywhere. What we're doing right now is we want to deliver really great SEO results. That's personal, custom, very bespoke, but taking the mundane things like internal linking, like finding internal link opportunities from one page to another. It's not sexy. It's boring. It's annoying. And you might spend an hour and not find a single opportunity. We built a tool that can just do it in a matter of less than a minute.
Nice.
So that's what the mundane SEO tasks that don't need the critical thinking, but the strategy, also alignment with the brand, making sure that you're all serving the bigger picture on what the brand actually cares about. Yeah, you need people at the top and humans.
I would agree. I think like focusing on kind of doing the AI enabled organization, as cheesy as just saying it kind of makes me cringe a little bit because it's cheesy, but I do think that reality is one of the rules of that game is, as soon as you lose sight of how the thing works, you're no longer relevant. So to some extent, yeah, you have to have those critical thinker at the top or whatever, but like the more have you come across AI that's smarter than you?
I mean, it depends on the topic, and I probably have my own subjective answers to that.
Go for it.
I mean,
I'm about to change my question because I am very much of the opinion I have come across intelligence on AI that can do my job. Is it all packaged into one neat box with a bow on it? No. But is there a time where my job, as it currently stands, will be replaceable? I'm wholeheartedly of the opinion, yes. Wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we probably then have to dive into large language models and what they mean and how they use predictive text in answering versus like real knowledge. They use like statistical analysis to predict the next word of text that should come after another word.
It's autocomplete.
They don't understand it
by itself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They don't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
Will there be a point? Totally. I mean, that's the feature of what people are saying about AGI, which is awesome, scary, awesome. But yeah, I mean, are we there yet? Now, definitely not. But I mean, do we ask questions? Okay, yeah, probably LLMs now are smarter than me because I ask questions to it. Really dumb questions that I don't even want to Google. And it didn't matter if I Googled it or not. I wasn't going to spend money anywhere. So I'm not necessarily hurting a brand by using ChatGPT or Claude specifically. Yeah, I mean, to a degree. But also, is it smarter than me because we're both resourceful? I mean, I can get the answer that I need.
Yeah.
And it can get the answer that I need just by doing the same thing, a Google search.
Oh, yeah. Well, so to your point, I totally agree, right? Again, they're built off of word frequency, right? So they largely are programmed to give you a popular average answer, not zag when everybody else zigs, and they're not there to necessarily work their way around. Now, that being said, a human is largely the culmination of the exposure to their environment. The neurons in your brain path are largely built on what are the words you said, the things that your eyes saw, the things your ears heard, and reinforce that neural net with handwriting and other things, right? You get one decision, one thought in a neural chain, and then other different, stimuli strengthened that neural pathway to give you the perception of what is a dog. I've got how it's described, the colors, the sounds, whatever, all of that formulates a dog. And you go, okay, cool. So it does that. One thing that's like different now, because again, LLMs, totally with you. When they're like, hey, it passed the LSAT exam for lawyers. I'm like, it saw the right answer a bunch of times because the right answer is posted more often than the wrong answer. No, it's not smart. It just saw the right answer enough times that was the most common answer. So, but that being said, the thing that I'm seeing now more that changes a lot of that calculus is multimodal integration. So you're starting to see we all figured out that it couldn't count the number of R's in Blueberry and stuff like that. But then they started to realize, well, why don't I just implement tool calls and other things for arithmetic so that when we do that, instead of answering with the LLM, I'm going to trigger this tool call that actually calculates it. And then the other piece is context engineering, where I go, okay, now the really big thing for me that was kind of, I didn't see it coming, was the dimension of MCPs and data access. So 5 years ago, 65% of our project, maybe 85% of our project was data engineering, just preparing the table so that you could actually see everything that mattered. Now you can plug into 50 different connections in a moment. And that context combined with an LLM, combined with tools, is easily above the intelligence of an average human, because largely that's what they're doing. It's just doing it faster and it doesn't have the limitation of time on it. So I go, is it smarter by itself? No, but it's not in the box anymore. Its ability to actually pull in the relevant data to get that context is now here. So I'd go, shit, I've seen it makes the same decision I would have made faster than I could have gotten to it. And yes, it still makes a ton of mistakes. Don't get me wrong. Again, this is where I go, you can't let it start to drive. Because again, as soon as you don't understand the architecture and it breaks, you don't know how to fix it. Now you're screwed. And largely what people are going to pay you for in the future is, for lack of a better term, your judgment or taste, right? It's anyone can do it. You did it differently, and you did it in an interesting way that I would pay for. Because again, like vibe coding and stuff like that, I can make a lot really quickly. And now switching costs are zero, and I can make my own version of any app that's just for me with my features and no one else's features. That's on the horizon. So I go, I was laying in bed like 2 weeks ago. You can tell, just going, holy shit. What do I do now? And like largely the thought process after the fact was, I need to get better at getting better, right? The momentum of how I make those decisions is actually what people pay me for, is like, hey, Dan, you've already got a foundation that's kind of further ahead in this field than mine. Stay ahead and tell me where to look, and then we'll pay you for that. Because again, right now it's kind of, how fast can you run from that bear that's eating
Totally.
all of those different drudgery jobs? I go, okay, cool. That's my job for the foreseeable future, is staying ahead. Let's go. All right, I could do that. It's funner. It's a lot funner. I don't miss that drudgery, but yeah. You keep getting me to digress.
Just such thought-provoking questions. I mean, it's great topics of discussion because there's, counter arguments. And at the end of the day, also, it's like, we're still like in the unknown with all of this. Who knows what's going to happen next month with AI models? Are things going to
What do you think it looks like in 4 or 5 years? Your profession.
My profession, critical thinkers up at the top.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, all CEOs right now are throwing around AGI of all these AI platforms. Mm-hmm. It's not there yet. And I think you have other people who work internally that have left and become whistleblowers. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
But they've been talking about AGI for 10 years, OpenAI for a decade now, about how close they are. It's all PR and marketing at the end of the day. But I think there's always going to be a place for, again, a manager, a leader, a strategic thinker at the top. But there very well might be a bunch of AI assistants right below it that could help with decision making. But somebody's got to manage them, right?
Yeah. In the field, what do you see as the biggest lie that people are kind of saying in your space right now as well?
Just one, or I can give you probably like 30. We have SEO is dead. And they were saying the same shit with voice search. SEO is dead. They were saying the same thing if you were in marketing in 2010, when the first Panda algorithm came out and completely changed everything. Yeah. SEO is dead.
Yeah.
Google came out and used the link-based ranking instead of A, B, C, D-based ranking like traditional search engines.
Yeah.
SEO is dead. It's just evolving. And you need to adapt and evolve with the times. So I think for the most part, we're still going to relatively remain the same. We don't know what search is going to look like, what SEO is going to look like. SEO kind of adopted naturally GEO and those type of optimizations. So I guess it's all kind of bucketed into our realm.
Yeah.
But there's people who are selling, like, no joke. I was actually speaking with a PR person the other day, and she was saying, I saw my client get a quote from a GEO agency pitching $10,000 a month for doing absolutely nothing, or doing work that's just regular PR, regular content marketing. Now, again, they packaged it up as GEO, and sure, there might be a case for that, still the same service. But when it comes to measuring the outcomes, if the client's expecting, hey, we want to see large increases of traffic, referral traffic from ChatGPT, what's the outcome? Especially if ChatGPT doesn't want to link out to you, because they don't want to link out to anyone, because then you're leaving ChatGPT.
Yeah. Right.
So then that's one of the biggest things is, we're tracking AI referral traffic and AI attributed revenue, which again is still so small, and you're not getting the full picture. AI might recommend a brand. What are you doing after that? Oh, they didn't link to the brand. Go to Google, type in that brand. Organic search now gets that attribution for revenue. So it's kind of all over the place right now. So that we talk about all these different shiny things, that SEO and GEO are so different. And this is a controversial topic. But again, I have yet to see anybody who can give a playbook that says, this is how SEO and GEO are so different. I was listening to a webinar, someone explaining GEO, and they're like, no, it's vastly different because we're focused on getting the word out. We're focused on producing thought leadership content. And I'm like, Okay, link building, digital PR. Okay, SEO driven content marketing, keyword research, optimization. Sure, schema markup. These are all foundational SEO principles.
Yeah.
So again, in terms of what you can actually do that's different,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Good SEO is sometimes correlating to increases in AI referral traffic. Now, that is a measurable thing that we're seeing. As organic traffic goes up, again, not to the same level because Bing still has like 90% more market share compared to like ChatGPT. It's not even a comparison of where they are versus still traditional search engines. But we can start collecting data. That's really it.
Dag.
I will buy the nicest dinner ever to somebody who can show me an exact framework in a case study that we did this, this, and this 4 times and got the exact same result.
So is the phenomenon potentially caused? Because like, again, it's like people try to package and tell you they can go viral. It's like, no, you can't. I mean, the premise there is do something novel and interesting that was unexpected that drives a bunch of people. But that by definition is novel, which means there isn't a framework for it other than do something that no one's thought of that's really interesting that drives a bunch of traffic to you. Rinse and repeat, right? It's like it's a really difficult playbook to replicate.
You're in an agency. What's the average consensus in the agency world about client retention? Like, what's the average lifespan of a single client?
Oh, I'm not an agency. I've worked a lot with agencies.
Okay,
I've been at an agency, but I mean, they don't know.
It's 12 months. It's 12 months. And a lot of agencies out there that are selling things go for quantity over quality. Mm-hmm. They don't care if you churn because there's 5 other people that are going to come right after you. So even if you don't get the results you promised, it doesn't matter. You're just a number in the system.
Yeah. It is part of that business model. It's unfortunate. It's a tiring business model. Yeah.
Totally.
What part of your process would you refuse to automate if you can automate so much of it? What are the parts then tied to the critical thinking or whatever else? What does that look like in practice? What does the hands on the keyboard version of critical thinking look like?
Yeah, I think blending information architecture to get like in like specific examples of like what's a great information architecture that'll benefit SEO, benefit the devs and the work that they're doing, benefit CRO, not sacrifice brand messaging and voice, and basically everyone winning. And the marketing person in-house looks like the hero. I think those are things that still at this moment, you very much need somebody because you'll get gaslit, as you said, by AI agents. They're not there yet, and that necessarily can't be automated. You can use it for ideation, bounce ideas off of, and maybe they'll give you a really good idea like, that can work. But I think when it comes down to like specific strategy and making sure that everything is working together is definitely, I mean, you can't really automate relationships. I mean, maybe you can, but
I'm with you.
I mean, that's not a real relationship, a human to human relationship then in that case.
I do agree with you on that. I mean, I have heard a few different ways from a few different people, and I don't know of a better way to say it, but I go, it is and has been. Authenticity is the hardest thing to fake. Like people always try to do it. Coca-Cola can come out with another roller skating video. People see right through that shit.
But it has a polar bear. The polar bear is roller skating.
Those are really expensive ways to buy it, right? And I think one of the, what was it? It was like the Gucci? Is it Gucci? Versace. I think she said like the best things in life are free and the things below that are extremely expensive, It's one of those where you go, yeah. Cause it's really, really hard to fake that. Like that whole phenomenon that kicked off crowdfunding, which I think then kicked off a lot of the blockchain and kind of the crypto movement, was largely tied to the fact that just you now had a way for people to assess the authenticity of a concept, how good it was, how authentic and interesting the inventors or whoever else was. And it became that own vehicle that literally could compete with just as interesting as any polar bear that Coca-Cola can come up with, right? This guy did this in the basement, right? The coolest cooler type stuff. You're like, part of the team story was actually what made it so interesting. It was novel. How did such a small team do something that was so significant, right? So I do think that is a big part of it, which is good news because I do think for that reason, when people go like, hey, what's marketing look like? And I go, well, the reality is I think right now is everyone's becoming a beige printing factory because they're all using AI and they haven't figured out how to differentiate with AI yet. And so everybody writes the same stuff that reads the same way, and it has the same tone that's slightly quirky, blah, blah, blah. And people go, okay, cool. But now I can tell, and they call it AI slop, which I think we actually potentially went through really quickly. I was actually surprised at how, like it was 2-ish years ago when people were going, hey, if they didn't know it was copy written by AI, they preferred it. They actually found it as better. Now, they actually don't. And especially if they find out they were tricked and it was AI and it didn't appear to be so in the first case, they actually have like a significant negative reaction to it going, I think people want to see that you spent time or money on that effort. And if they think that you just did incremental cost of an additional message being damn near free and you didn't actually put the time and thought and energy into it, they go, cool, but I'm not going to give it back to you. It's an exchange. I'll give you my time and money if you give me yours, right? They want some sort of an exchange. No. You had a thing called Break the Web. What is it? Why now?
So Break the Web is, if you don't already know by now, an SEO agency. Yeah. We work with in-house marketing teams of D2C and B2C brands, just make SEO really just less annoying. It's a real pain in the ass. It's confusing. It's nuanced. There's a lot of jargon. It's unpredictable. It's uncontrollable. And our goal is just to help set expectations for in-house marketing teams, especially with leadership. And I'm obsessed with it. I've been kind of in it over 15 years at this point. Yeah. Just watching the whole bang. So Break the Web is our agency, and we work with some really awesome brands.
So when you work with those in-house agencies, we do that and have done that as well. What do they usually get wrong? Oftentimes you see them, we're going to do all this work in-house. This is how you transition and kind of bring this kind of work to life. Here's how you do all right. What's the biggest mistake that they're making?
Yeah, so it's mostly in-house marketers of non-agencies, but of brands themselves. And they might do some of the SEO foundations and then wonder why things aren't lifting, especially when they have leadership pressure, is what we see most often, is that the leadership's like grow, 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 but marketers can only do so much, or in-house teams, especially small in-house teams, can only do so much, in which, okay, we've done keyword research, we've posted a lot of articles, we've optimized our page titles. Sure, we get a little bit of growth, but nothing to really move the needle. And that's where we come in and just, try to dot all the I's and cross the T's, make sure everything from an SEO standpoint is good, and then focus on growth, getting the word out, kind of more off-page SEO, continued content marketing, less super informational nowadays, because that's not going to drive much traffic now, but maybe more mid-funnel content, thought leadership that might serve a purpose for users. That's where we come in to help clear that up.
Earlier, when you were talking about this, you mentioned like how getting kind of a cohesive and a unified kind of brand message across the organization was kind of a big part of it. When that gets put into practice, how do we maintain the same tone and publish A, B, C, D versions for different people at what does that look like in practice in terms of like what segmentation, I guess, would you go with? This is half segmentation, like meaning almost like personas. Like you got a piece of content. We're going to talk about hot dogs this week. Do you write one master version with incredible clarity and you only push one thing out per week that's all based on that same similar blueprint? Do you put out 8 different versions that have different tweaks based on what? I'm curious what the tweaks would be based upon. Is it just random, mix it up? Is it based on product adoption curve, early adopters versus late adopters, personality? What would you kind of like guide people through? Like, okay, cool, you've got your brand, but now when you publish your content, do one version and link everything to it, do it well, or make a bunch of different versions and make sure you capture more different landing pages in the process.
So from just an SEO standpoint, not other marketing efforts, we use search intent. So we're kind of reliant on what Google defines as the search intent, the persona, what people are searching and why they're making that search. So we unfortunately sometimes have to adapt. But of course, when it comes to the more general audience persona, one that A, will rank, get eyes, get visibility, B, will convert, it's kind of a balance between the two. We don't want to create many of the same pages that might compete with each other in Google search results. Then Google won't rank you anywhere. There's a case in which you can do that, specifically for maybe paid advertising and setting some of the other pages to no index. So you can create multiple pages for a conversion standpoint. But with SEO, if you create 2 pages that are covering the same topical theme, but are just
Mm-hmm.
maybe worded differently for audience personas, they can cannibalize each other. And Google's
Sure.
like, I don't know which one is better, so I'm not going to rank
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a great blend between brand voice and messaging and SEO. And there has to be sacrifices that need to be made on both the brand side and the SEO side. Because if we're optimizing just for SEO, but all that traffic doesn't convert,
Mm-hmm.
waste of time. But if we're only optimized for just brand and non SEO, then you're not going to get that traffic to begin with. So one topical theme, which might have subtopics that are related but not competing, we call them topical clusters. One example we use is like space as the primary topic cluster. Subtopics might be space exploration,
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek,
Mm-hmm.
aliens, so they're all kind of grouped together to create a single topical theme, but they're not actively competing with each other. Each one of those might be adapted to the specific persona type. And there are probably a lot of clever ways in which you can hit multiple persona types in copy. I'm thinking right now, maybe like jump links, like if you're this, click here. If you're this, click here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
just to get into the content that's needed there. But on a broad level, mixing brand messaging and SEO sacrifices from both sides, but there are
Mm-hmm.
really great ways in which they can be merged together.
I like it. The other thing we found when researching a lot of your content was the oh shit moment, the 90% client. This is, I think it's a relatively common trap because oftentimes, like when digital marketing agencies or other small boutique firms, they can basically get really good at servicing one behemoth, hegemon kind of large client. But then if you potentially lose that, you can compromise the entire business. Tell me about your oh shit moment.
I think that was definitely one of them, especially early on, back when I was living in New York City. I had one client that, was the largest percentage of revenue, and I was flying high. I was transitioning from freelancer into bringing on people to help, and you're kind of building a small little boutique agency. And then we have a really good client retention. We're at 32 months average client retention, which is not normal in the SEO in the agency world to begin with.
Sure.
But there sometimes is a time limit. Maybe the agency, the brand wants to try something new. Maybe leadership changes, new managers come in, and they want to bring in the people they know. Yeah, that was an oh shit moment because I'm like, oh crap, this new apartment that I got, it's kind of dependent on that revenue. Or the trip that we have coming up, shit, it's kind of dependent on that revenue. So it was at the same time where I brought in an agency mentor, and he told me this is not good. And I'm like, okay, I'll work on it. I'll try to close more deals and I'll try to get more sales to lower that percentage of that single client. And that doesn't always happen as you want because sometimes you suck at sales, and B, sometimes the market just isn't in demand for services, especially maybe around like COVID era, for example, where everyone's tighter with their money.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the oh shit moment. And now we have the rule of like no more than 10% of a single client is contributing to our overall revenue.
Does that make it harder to balance kind of what the product portfolio looks like? Like meaning what the offering to those clients looks like? Does it simplify it or make it more difficult?
I mean, from a business owner standpoint, it makes it more difficult because you're like, I can get this amount of revenue from them, but I shouldn't. So that's the hardest part. But at the end of the day, the work I do is more than just me. It's my team. It's the brand I work for. And we also have no problem telling a client that, hey, we'd love to do this, 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 this. We don't have the capacity to do that right now. We predict based on our forecast, maybe 6 months from now. Let's build that relationship, start small, build a foundation, and we'll work our way towards it. So we also don't work with contracts. Every client, since we ever had, 30 days out. So we have to earn the business each and every month. So kind of that trust aspect and that authenticity, the being real, being radically transparent, it's kind of in our ethos. So if something's possible, man. I know, right?
Every I used to have hair, and you know where this hair went? It went into those contracts where I feel like this is 10 years ago. Dude, that's like going, you get fired at the beginning of the month and you earn your job back for the next 30 days just to get fired. That was how I would describe that.
Yeah. So we have a couple of things in place. We have things in place. During the sales process, I get like a video head nod, like, hey, it's probably going to be about 6 months until you really start seeing an impact. Can you do this for 6 months? Yeah. I mean, no one's going to say no. I mean, we also vet early on because that allows us to be a bit more particular about the clients that we bring in.
Sure.
Okay, what is your expected result with
Mm-hmm.
the SEO partnership? What does success mean to you? Awesome. What is your timeline to get those results? Oh, I think like 2-3 months would be cool. Okay, if we can't manage those expectations, then it's probably not a good fit for us because just like that, we're going to project 12 months of revenue. That's probably not
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
last more than 4 months. We have a
yeah.
lot of visuals where we're constantly setting expectations because we don't have contracts. We have a cool graphic that shows like initial SEO work, nice, good boost, but then it kind of flatlines where we have this little gap of disappointment, which you call
Mhm.
it. But around the 6 to 8 month mark, follow the roadmap, follow the timeline, and that we have data on. Like we can prove that we follow the timeline to a T.
Yeah.
Everyone works together, things grow. So
Huh.
it's getting the buy-in, and that's part of our sales process is kind of education, mutual qualification, because brands want to qualify us to make sure that we're not going to scam them. We also need
Mhm.
to make sure that we're not making a bad business decision by working with somebody. And we turn down a lot of business. Yeah,
One that feels good though, doesn't it? When you start to
feels
go,
good.
well, when you get stable enough that you can start to see, like, because I've been there too, where you just go, okay, there's the time where you're like, I need this revenue. And then when you get stable enough where you can go, okay, wait, now I'm starting to recognize that red flag. I'm going to take this revenue, but I'm not going to like taking this revenue. And then you get to the stable enough point where you just go, I need to tell you, client, I am not the service provider for you, right? That feels good. Developing out like the proper no script on how do I let them down. Well, it feels way the hell better than going, because I mean, I always found you took maybe a smarter tack than I did. Because I remember at the time we called them glitter metrics. So we would get the initial bump. And then when that flat line hit, I would go, okay, pivot to give them something that doesn't really matter, but makes them feel good so that we can just basically make sure that we buy enough time. We go, hey, followers or whatever went up,
We do
whatever.
that in
It's
the
like,
first month.
yeah.
Again, no contract. So there's a really great book by Joey Coleman, Never Lose a Customer Again, about the
Hmm.
second somebody buys from you, their buying temperature goes down and potential buyer's remorse goes
Yeah,
up. So
sure.
you have to excite and delight right from the
Hmm.
get go. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Many
even in
wins,
our
right?
first month, there's some quick wins, but there's also a lot of feel goods, especially for like C-level execs. What they like and what gets them a dopamine hit is very different than what marketers get as a dopamine hit. But yeah, we try to introduce that very early on.
You did it and you've stayed sane.
No, as we were talking about before the recording, it's Friday and everyone's about to go enjoy their weekend, but I don't have a weekend. I got things to do tomorrow.
I
This is
know.
like a Tuesday for me.
Oh, dude. I mean, luckily for me, it's kind of programmed into my DNA. Like my dad's dad, they were all entrepreneurs and they were all workaholics.
Yeah.
But like, I'm notorious around here for not knowing it's a holiday. I've forgotten what day of the week it is many, 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 many times. Just like, what
Yeah.
day is it? Like, so I go, luckily, I just kind of do that. It's not necessarily that I have to. I do it, but I don't necessarily have to, but I
You'll
do
get
it.
bored if you don't. Like, what else
Yeah,
are you
yeah,
going to
yeah.
do, right?
Being bored is the trigger to depression for me. That is very much like the worst I've felt. It was when I
Yeah.
didn't have something to do. That stuff sucks. I hate that. I would rather be stressed and building stuff than bored and not have any. Like, I did
Because the
like a
highs
little.
are so high. It feels so good when something works out. I mean, the
Oh yeah,
lows suck so much,
yeah.
but
I
also the
went with
highs just feel good.
my wife and I took like a mini retirement in what was that? Like 2013, I want to say, around the world trip, 26 countries, and
Nice.
2 months into it, I was done. I was just like, I need to go work on something. This is insane. You can't live like this. Like, it was one of those like waking up in a new city every day, and I was just going, I'm never retiring. My brain is just not built for it. It was one of those
Yeah.
things. Seems like it would be good, and then it ends up being just like, ugh.
I
So
did that
worth
in
doing. But
January.
it
I
was
took a
worth.
week off and I went into the jungles of Mexico, completely off the
Nice.
grid. No
Really?
internet, no phone. Oh, yeah. And it was very refreshing. But at the end of it, when I was like getting back into civilization, I was like, I'm excited a little bit to, I had some good clarity. I had some time to myself, not being around all these different external stressors and, scientific apps and all these things that just mess with
Yeah.
how your brain operates.
So
It was
for
great.
real life hack right there, by the way. So like I'm technically a hunter. I tell people that I walk around in the woods holding a bow and arrow and not hitting anything. And the thing that I found with that, because like to do that, you have to be out in the woods, largely solitary. And it's pretty much like solitary confinement out in the woods. But I just go, heads up, there's a ton of people that can't handle a week of that. Like it's time slows down dramatically, and like you'll come home early. 2 weeks is like a lifetime. So heads up, if you really need that vacation, but you only have a few, go out into the woods by yourself and watch how long that vacation feels. Like a day is a week. It's crazy, crazy little life hack. It's a good one. You skydive too, right?
I mean, very similar reason. Yeah, I skydive. It's the complete opposite of what I do on my day to day.
One of those, like, I got a buddy who does it, and I'm just like, how the hell, Steve Error, by the way, if we're both in Utah, I don't know if you know him. I don't know how big the skydiving community is, but
hey, Steve, I'll see you at Skydive Utah.
Yeah.
It's like a mental vacation. I'm sure he'll agree too. It's all the shit that you're dealing with on the day to day. None of it matters because you kind of have to really be in the zone, which is nice because it's a mental vacation from everything else. I mean, you have to be on it. If you're not on it, then yeah.
And it's like one of those things that gets cheaper every time you do it, right? I think he's like, yeah, it's $25 when you're done.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, it's not cheap to get to that level.
Sure.
And of course, a tandem is significantly cheaper than that investment.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to live a little bit.
I don't. I'm too heavy for that. I had to get down to, I'm a big dude, and like 270. And so like getting down to 250 is a feat. Like my body can't do it. I've only done it once, but that was my reward to myself. Purdy at 30. And I had to get down to 250 so I could go skydiving once. I was surprised that it felt like laying on a table. You always look at it and you think it feels like scuba diving or something, like, oh, you're weightless. It's like, no, it feels like you're laying on a table on a hard surface. It is not like, you don't feel weightless. You feel,
I mean, yeah, you were strapped with somebody right on your back.
Yes, I was. Yes. Yeah. Also true. Jason, I appreciate it, man. I want you to go enjoy your weekend. Where do people find you? Obviously on Break the Web, but where else do they find you? Where are you lingering and lurking most of the time?
I hang around on LinkedIn for professional stuff. I'll browse Reddit casually, but you won't ever find me there because you won't know where I am or who I am. But yeah, you can Google Break the Web, breaktheweb.agency, and I'm most active on LinkedIn, just talking nonsense, SEO gibberish, starting fights, and
good. That's my favorite stuff. It's one of those where I go, it's the best, worst used platform because so many people are just posting bullshit. You need to start a fight. You need a contrarian view, and not enough people do it. So when it's there, it's very refreshing. It's like, hey.
Yeah, when you can take out all the AI noise also that's there, like the AI content slop.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Go check it out. You enjoy your weekend, Jason. I appreciate you, man.
This was great.